They won't see you coming, not because you're hiding, but because you've chosen to go inward while the world chases noise, applause, and validation. While others run in circles seeking approval, you stand still and seek truth. You are learning the sacred art of becoming, not performing, and that changes everything. You do not need to announce your transformation. You do not need to beg for attention. All you need to do is focus on yourself, the only thing in this world you were ever truly meant to master. For when a man or woman aligns with the truth of who they are within, reality itself begins to bend in quiet obedience. You were not called to compete. You were called to create from within, to rise from the invisible, to become something so powerful that when others finally notice, it's too late for them to understand how it happened, because it didn't happen out there, it happened in the stillness, in the silence. In the sanctuary of your inner world, this is not about arrogance or ego. This is about divine alignment. This is about taking your focus off of them, what they say, what they expect, what they believe, and placing it entirely on you. Your vision, your inner speech, your assumptions, your unseen reality. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to express the truth of who you are. So don't explain, don't beg to be understood. Just focus, tune in, go deeper. The transformation that happens when you give your full attention to your own becoming will shock everyone who thought they knew you, because when the inner man rises, the world bows, without understanding why. Inner reality shapes outer circumstances. The world you see is not separate from you. It is not some objective stage upon which you simply act. It is a reflection, a projection, an echo of your inner state. What appears to be out there is only the unfolding of what has been sustained and entertained within you in your thoughts, your assumptions, your beliefs, and most of all, your inner conversations. The one who truly understands this principle ceases to blame, ceases to chase, and most importantly, ceases to seek outside what only originates within. To focus on yourself is not selfish, it is divine responsibility. For your outer world, your relationships, your opportunities, your setbacks, your breakthroughs, they all stem from the image you carry inside. The moment you accept this truth, your life begins to transform. Not because the world suddenly becomes more favorable, but because you've changed the root from which your reality grows. Most people live backwards. They wait for circumstances to improve before they dare to feel peace. They wait for love before feeling worthy, for money before feeling secure, for recognition before feeling important. But life does not unfold from the outer to the inner, it flows from the inner to the outer. Your circumstances are not causes, they are results. They are not the creators of your state, they are the creations of it. So many spend their days trying to rearrange the shadows while ignoring the light that casts them. They work harder, chase harder, speak louder, all to manipulate the visible, while the invisible remains unchanged. But the one who learns to quiet the noise and redirect their gaze inward begins to move differently. They are no longer tossed by appearances. They begin to understand that to change the picture, they must change the projector, and that projector is the mind, the imagination, the inner self. You must dare to believe that what you entertain in silence will take shape in substance. If your inner world is full of defeat, fear, complaint, and insecurity, your outer life will reflect confusion and limitation. But if your inner world is nurtured with faith, vision, love, and confidence in your unseen reality, your external world will echo it in surprising and undeniable ways. This is why focusing on yourself is the most powerful thing you can do. Not in a shallow, surface, level way, not in the pursuit of image or ego, but in the deepest way possible, by taking command of your inner assumptions. You shock people not by trying to impress them, but by becoming so aligned with the version of yourself you were always meant to be, that your life begins to radiate a power that cannot be denied. It doesn't matter what your past looks like. It doesn't matter who doubted you, abandoned you, or underestimated you. What matters is that you begin to cultivate a new inner atmosphere, one that matches your true desire. You must become the one who dares to see what others don't, who dares to feel what others fear, and who dares to believe in silence what others can only accept once it is proven. This is the essence of mastery. You don't need to fix the world. You don't need to change the people around you. You don't even need to demand anything from life. Your only task is to dwell in the state of being that already contains your fulfillment. Whatever you desire, imagine it real, feel it deeply, and live from that end. Persist in that state, protect it as sacred, and do not waver because of what the current moment shows you, for the current moment is only the result of your former state. And yes, the world may not understand this. It will try to tell you to be realistic, to play it safe, to face the facts. But what they call reality is often just the repetition of the same tired assumptions. Don't argue, don't explain, simply refuse to participate in a reality that no longer reflects who you have decided to be. There is something sacred about one who walks in calm assurance, not because of what they have, but because of what they know within. That is power, that is focus, that is the seed of transformation, and eventually the harvest comes. It always does, and when it does, when you rise, when your outer life begins to match your inner conviction, the world around you will be stunned. Not because they didn't believe it was possible, but because you believed it without needing them to. You never waited for applause, for consensus, for permission. You just stayed inwardly faithful to your vision. You focused on yourself, you watered the unseen, you stood firm in the silence, and then one day it appeared. It will look like a miracle, but you will know the truth. It was not magic, it was alignment. You brought your inner world into harmony with your desired state, and the outer world simply adjusted to match it. You shocked them not by force, but by faith. So begin now. Become intentional about what you are thinking, what you are assuming, what you are feeling. Start observing the conversations you have with yourself. Are they rooted in defeat or destiny, fear or faith, lack or love? Choose today to dwell in the inner atmosphere of your desired life, and do not exit that state, no matter what the outside tries to suggest. The world cannot help but conform to the inner pattern you persist in. It is law, so shift the pattern, focus inward, hold the image, speak from the end. Feel the reality of your desire now, and it must show up not as fantasy, but as fact. And when it does, you won't need to say a word. The transformation will speak for itself. They'll ask how you did it, when it happened, why it worked, but they won't truly understand because they didn't see what you saw. They didn't hear the inner voice you chose to believe. They didn't witness the battles you overcame in silence, but you did, and that's why you'll shock them all. Imagination is the secret power. There is a quiet force within you overlooked by most, underestimated by many, that holds the power to reshape your entire world. It does not shout. It does not demand. It does not plead for recognition, but it builds the blueprint of your life moment by moment, thought by thought, image by image. This force is your imagination. It is not child's play. It is not fantasy. It is creative law in motion. Most people do not understand the power of imagination because they misuse it daily. They use it to rehearse fear. They use it to worry. They use it to picture what they don't want and then call it realistic. But the truth is this: what you imagine with feeling is not just a private thought, it is a seed, and life cannot help but bring it forth in due time. When you begin to understand this, everything changes. You no longer fight the world. You no longer argue with circumstances. You no longer chase what already belongs to you by divine right. Instead, you go within and claim it with vision. You imagine what you desire, not as a wish, but as a present fact. And the moment you do this with conviction, you are no longer the same. You have shifted your state, and your world will soon follow. This is not daydreaming. This is not escapism. This is the most powerful work you will ever do, and it is done in silence. For your imagination is not just your mind wandering aimlessly. It is your creative instrument, your inner workshop, where all things are first made. If you neglect it, you remain at the mercy of appearances. But if you master it, you begin to live as one who is no longer limited by what the eyes can see. Consider this deeply. Everything man has created first began as an image in someone's imagination. The homes we live in, the music we hear, the technology we hold all began as unseen visions held by someone who dared to believe in what others could not yet perceive. And if that is true on a physical scale, how much more powerful is the same principle when applied to your life? You can sit quietly, close your eyes and build a reality within yourself, a reality where you are already who you desire to be, already living from the place you yearn to reach. And when you do this with love, with feeling, with consistency, your subconscious accepts it as truth. And once it is accepted, your outer world begins to shift in the most remarkable and effortless ways. This is why focusing on yourself shocks people, because while they are busy reacting to the outer world, you are creating from the inner. They strive, you imagine; they complain, you create; they try to manipulate events, you simply embody the state you desire and allow events to organize themselves around your inner conviction. This is power. This is mastery, and yes, this is divine. Now, let this truth sink in. Imagination creates reality, not imagination without feeling, not fleeting thoughts, but sustained inner imagery felt in the present, accepted as real. This is the genesis of all transformation. And the more you return to your vision, the more you emotionally dwell in that imagined state, the more certain it becomes that your world must conform to it. What you do not imagine, you cannot create. What you cannot feel, you cannot manifest. So many are waiting for proof before they believe, but the wise believe before there is any proof. Not because they are delusional, but because they understand this sacred principle. Faith is seeing with the inner eye first. And the one who sees it within, with clarity and emotion, will eventually see it without, not because they forced it, but because they became it. The greatest shifts in your life will not come from effort alone. They will come from a change in inner identity. An identity is formed by the images you consistently hold and the feelings you associate with them. You must ask yourself daily, what am I imagining right now? What am I emotionally accepting as true? Is it aligned with the life I claim to desire? If not, change it, not by force, but by attention. Gently guide your imagination to the place you want to live from. Picture yourself not hoping but having, not seeking but being, not lacking but fulfilled. Use all your senses. Hear the conversations you would have. See the scenes that would surround your success. Feel the peace, the gratitude, the joy that your fulfilled desire would bring. And dwell there. Return to that state repeatedly. Let it become your resting place. And when doubts arise, and they will, you do not fight them. You simply return to your vision, again and again. You discipline your imagination, not with fear, but with love and persistence. You no longer let it run wild with worry. You train it like the powerful tool that it is, until it becomes natural for you to feel the truth of your desire long before it is visible. And when it does become visible, and it will shock those who once doubted you. Not because they are evil, but because they have never learned the hidden law. They were looking for change in the world, but you found it within yourself. They were waiting for permission, you gave it to yourself. They were waiting for signs, you created the signs by dwelling in the unseen. So if you want to transform your life, stop waiting and start imagining. Create in silence, assume the end, live from the outcome. Feel it real, and do this not just once, but until it becomes so natural, so familiar, that the outer world has no choice but to catch up to the inner pattern you have established. This is the secret of those who rise from obscurity into greatness. Not noise, not struggle, but a quiet, focused inner world, held consistently in imagination until it breaks forth into reality. Imagination is your secret power. Use it wisely, use it daily, and watch how your world bends in awe to the shape of your unseen convictions. Withdraw attention from the noise of others the moment you begin to focus on yourself. The world will try to pull you back, not always through hostility, often through concern, opinion, and well-meaning advice. But beneath the surface of these voices is one consistent pull, a call for your attention, and you must understand this. What you give your attention to, you give your power to. If you truly want to transform your life and shock those who never believed you could, then one of the most necessary disciplines you must master is this: withdrawing your attention from the noise of others. Their voices are not your voice. Their assumptions are not your law. Their beliefs do not bind you unless you accept them. The world is full of distractions, opinions about who you should be, how you should behave, what is possible for you, and how quickly you should succeed. If you allow yourself to be ruled by these outer voices, You will be pulled in 1,000 directions, and you will live a fragmented life. But when you turn your gaze inward, when you begin to choose what you focus on with intention and discipline, you begin to consolidate your power. You must learn the sacred art of indifference to outer opinions. This is not arrogance. It is spiritual maturity. It means you no longer allow your state of being to be shaped by the fears, judgments, or expectations of those around you. You no longer react to criticism. You no longer shrink under pressure. You no longer dilute your vision just to be accepted. You have become inwardly anchored, and here is a deep truth. Nothing outside of you has power unless you give it power. The judgment of others is just air, words formed by their own inner limitations. You are not required to absorb it. When someone says, "You can't do that," what they're really saying is, "I can't imagine doing that." But you are not obligated to make their limitations your ceiling. So many never rise because they are paralyzed by the thought of being misunderstood. But you must remember, your vision is not meant to be understood in its early stages. It is meant to be believed by you, nurtured by you, sustained by you, until it becomes so undeniable that it speaks for itself. Withdraw your attention, not in hatred but in peace. Turn away from gossip. Tune out the comparisons. Let go of needing to explain yourself. When you truly focus on yourself, you no longer need to perform for others. You don't need to argue with the world. You simply live from the truth of your own becoming. This is the quiet path to power. The world clamors for reaction, for drama, for spectacle. But the one who is truly focused on themselves moves in stillness. They do not react, they respond. They do not compete, they create. They do not announce every move. They move in silence and let the results announce them. Ask yourself, how often do I interrupt my own progress just to check who's watching? How often do I abandon my focus because I fear someone's opinion? Every time you allow outer noise to dictate your inner state, you give away the throne of your own consciousness. But when you claim it back, when you become inwardly sovereign, nothing outside you can pull you off course. There is a profound freedom in no longer needing the world's validation. When you no longer require applause, you are free to rise. When you no longer need agreement, you are free to evolve. When you no longer fear rejection, you become unstoppable, because you no longer move from reaction, but from inner vision. And when others try to distract you with doubt, when they offer their disbelief or mock your silence, do not retaliate. Simply return inward, keep building, keep imagining, keep embodying the end you have chosen, for in time those same voices will fall silent, not because you silenced them, but because you surpassed their reach. Let them underestimate you, let them question your methods, let them think you've disappeared, for what they do not see is the inner revolution taking place. While they are busy speaking, you are becoming. And when you emerge, you will not need to explain the process. The outcome will speak for you. You see, the most dangerous individual is not the one who fights to prove their worth. It is the one who no longer needs to. The one who retreats from the crowd, not to escape, but to evolve. The one who no longer consumes the voices of others because they are too busy constructing their own. This is the person who shocks the world. Quietly, powerfully, inevitably, and here's the mystery most overlooked. When you stop reacting to the outer world begins to react to you. It reorganizes itself. Opportunities begin to arise. People begin to notice a shift they can't explain. Circumstances begin to reflect your inner clarity, all because you took your attention off of the noise and gave it back to the source, yourself. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot focus inward and outward at the same time. Choose your gaze wisely. Focus on others and you'll lose your path. Focus on yourself and you'll become unshakable. Silence is not weakness. Solitude is not loneliness. And withdrawing your attention from the world is not retreat. It is the beginning of your rise, for what you feed grows, and when you feed your own soul, your own vision, your own inner truth, it begins to take root in the unseen, and soon blossoms in the visible. Withdraw with purpose. Return to the sacred sanctuary within, not to hide but to create, not to run but to rise. Let the world say what it will. Let them judge, let them question. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to transform quietly. And when the time is right, when the fruit is ripe, they will look upon you not with scorn but with wonder, Because you did what they could not. You focused. You believed. You waited, you rose. The outer world will adjust to your inner shift. You were not born to chase the world. You were born to command it, not by force, but by consciousness. Everything that appears outside of you is not random. It is not luck, coincidence, or accident. It is the visible reflection of the state you dwell in internally. You do not change your world by manipulating effects. You change your world by transforming the cause, and the cause is always within you. The great secret of life is this: the outer world bends to the inner shift. This is why you must focus on yourself, not in self-obsession, but in divine alignment. When you transform within, the external must comply. When you rise inwardly, the circumstances of your life rise with you. It may not happen instantly. It may not happen the way you expect, but it is inevitable, for the world is a perfect mirror, reflecting not what you want, but who you are being. You've been told your whole life that if you want more, you must do more, and yes, action has its place, but action without consciousness is noise. Frenetic effort without inner alignment is the treadmill of futility. True power is not in hustle, but in harmony. It is in becoming the person inwardly who already lives in the world you desire, and once you become that person, the world must rearrange itself to match your new state. The reason most people feel stuck is not because the world is fixed, but because their inner state is. They try to change the conditions of their life while clinging to the same beliefs, the same identity, the same emotional reactions. But you cannot plant new seeds in old soil. If you want a different harvest, you must become different soil. You must begin to live from the truth that your inner world is the root and your outer world is the fruit. The root creates the fruit, not the other way around. Don't wait for the outer world to give you permission to feel different. Feel different now, be different now, assume the shift now, and the world will catch up. This is why you can no longer afford to monitor your progress solely by what your eyes see. You must walk by inner vision. You must see with the eyes of faith. For when you shift your state, the outer world does not always react immediately, but it is shifting beneath the surface. Invisible forces begin to move. People begin to be inspired or removed. Opportunities begin to unfold seemingly out of nowhere. Why? Because the new state has been accepted as real and the world is catching up to it. This is not delusion. This is alignment with spiritual law. The world you see today is nothing more than a printout of your past states. You are looking at yesterday's assumptions dressed in today's clothing. So don't curse the current conditions. Use them as a reminder of how powerful you truly are. If you don't like what you see, don't fight the screen. Change the projector. Go within and alter the assumptions from which you operate. If you're still living as the one who doubts, the one who feels rejected, the one who expects failure, then the world must echo that back to you. But the moment you take on a new assumption, I am worthy, I am chosen, I am success in motion, and live from that state consistently, the people, places, and events around you must reorganize themselves to match that new vibration. Don't expect the change to come from others. It doesn't matter if they doubt you, dismiss you, or walk away. Their reactions are powerless next to your decision to remain faithful to the inner shift. You are not here to get validation from the outer world. You are here to command the outer world through inner conviction, and so you rise not by arguing with reality, but by choosing a new reality within. You stop trying to change people. You stop begging life to notice you. You assume your rightful place in the world you desire to live in, and you hold that assumption until the universe has no choice but to agree. What does this look like in practice? It looks like moving with confidence before anyone else acknowledges you. It looks like trusting the unseen before it becomes visible. It looks like refusing to react emotionally to the old pattern when it tries to show up again, because you've already moved on in spirit. Yes, the old world may try to pull you back. It may whisper, see, nothing's changed, but don't listen. That is just the echo of an expired self. Let it fade. Your new world is emerging. Hold your frequency, hold your state, hold your knowing. Think of the caterpillar. It doesn't fight to become a butterfly. It enters a stillness, a chrysalis, a transformation of identity, and when the change is complete within, the form must follow. You are not becoming something new. You are revealing what's always been possible. You are aligning with the true self that was buried under years of false belief, and once you emerge, the world that once ignored you cannot help but notice. The ones who doubted you must now recalibrate. The doors that were once locked now swing open without effort, not because you forced them, but because your vibration no longer matches the frequency of resistance. It's not personal, it's principle. The outer world obeys the inner state like a shadow obeys the shape. When you shift inwardly, everything else must adjust. The people who belong in your new story are drawn to you. The opportunities designed for your higher self begin to locate you, and the environments that once held you back can no longer contain you. This is why focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is sacred. It is the beginning of your freedom. The greatest service you can give the world is to become your highest self, and the moment you do, you raise the frequency of everything around you. So take your eyes off the delay, take your focus off the doubts, keep your mind on the end you have claimed, keep your spirit grounded in the new identity you've assumed. For as sure as the seed becomes the tree, and as sure as the night gives way to morning, the outer world will bow to your inner shift. It always does, and when it does, you won't need to explain how it happened. You won't need to justify your journey. You won't need to convince anyone. You will simply be, and your being will speak louder than any explanation ever could. Focus on yourself, become the shift, and let the world marvel. Because when you change within, everything must change without. And in doing so, you shock them all. Focus on yourself and shock everyone.